If you're retired or within 5 years of retirement, this is for you. Over the next couple minutes, I'm going to share real life retirement horror stories that I've personally seen. Not hypotheticals, not market headlines, real people, real money lost. And by the end, I hope you'll know whether some of these same kinds of risks might be hiding in your plan. And if so, what a smart next step would look like if you want clarity in your retirement. Quick note up front, this is educational, not legal or tax advice. And here's why I use stories. Retirement, it does not fall apart because people are careless. To me, it falls apart because one decision over here can quietly trigger problems somewhere else, and people do not find out until it's too late. And let me tell you about this story. Sherry Parkridge. Sherry, she owed over $80,000 in taxes the year her husband died. The shocking part, they had estate planning documents. They had everything in place. They thought they even had a trust. Everything looked good on paper. What no one coordinated was how their business income flowed through that plan. And when the dust settled, Sherry discovered an $80,000 tax bill at the worst possible moment. Everyone was doing their job. It's just no one coordinated. The next story still bothers me today. Roy was offered a $350,000 pension buyout. He was dying in the hospital when the paperwork arrived. His wife tried to call the pension company to make sure everything would still pay out if he passed. They wouldn't talk to her because there was no financial power of attorney. By the time the attorney arrived, Roy was no longer lucid enough to sign. We started the court-ordered process, and Roy passed away. Instead of a $350,000 payout, she received $50,000. Now that story could have been completely avoided. These stories, though I'm sharing, they're not rare. And they do not happen because people didn't care. They happen because retirees are forced to coordinate everything on their own. Advisors cannot give legal advice. Attorneys do not manage taxes or Medicare. Tax professionals often meet after your year's already over, missing that Roth conversion. The retiree is often left to know what to ask and when. Now, this next one usually gets a laugh in the class, but do not miss the important lesson here. We met a gentleman in his early 90s, widowed, and he's still sharp as ever. A few years later, he remarried. She was 42. Love is love. That's not the issue. The issue was what happened next. He wanted to change all of his beneficiaries away from his kids and towards his new spouse. He could not. Years earlier, long before any of that existed, he and his first wife had set up a trust that had made the beneficiaries irrevocable, and after his first spouse passed away. So when the emotions changed, the family plan did not. So let me ask you this. Do you trust who your partner might marry after you pass away? This is what estate planning is really about. It's not about death. It's about control while you're alive when life changes. Control when people behave differently than expected. The best estate plans do not predict the future. They protect against it. Now here's how this ties into taxes. Most retirees saved in pre-tax accounts like IRAs and 401ks. That means taxes were not eliminated. They were just postponed. So think of your IRA like an adjustable rate mortgage. You don't control the future rate, Congress does. And most people don't think taxes are going down in the future. And then when, on top of that, when life changes, loss, remarriage, healthcare, those withdrawals can hit far harder than expected. And let me ask you, do you think taxes will be cheaper or more expensive in the next 5 to 10 years? And if you're noticing a pattern here, you're right. These mistakes, they don't live in one category. They live in the overlap. Estate planning, taxes, healthcare decisions, and investments all colliding in at once. That overlap is why we built our process differently. Not to pitch products, but to stop gaps. We coordinate estate planning, tax preparation, healthcare reviews, and the investments together. Because fixing one area while ignoring the others is how these stories happen. If any of these stories sound familiar, the next step is not a full review, and it's not a sales meeting. Step 1 is a 15-minute introductory call. The purpose of that call is to ask a few questions, understand your situation at a high level, and see if it makes sense to go deeper. At the end of that 15-minute call, we'll both feel if there's a fit, we'll schedule the next step. And that's a longer conversation. That's where we prepare a core 4 risk readout showing the potential blind spots or gaps in your plan. And if this is not a fit, that's perfectly okay as well. Education without action, though, does not protect anyone. These mistakes were avoidable. And if you want clarity instead of crossing your fingers, go ahead and take step 1. But before you assume everything is fine, schedule a 15-minute step 1 call. We'll tell you there if there's anything to worry about or confirm if you're on the right track. You can do that by clicking below or calling 833-44-CORE4. That's 833-442-6734. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something.